elite freelancers don't avoid the difficult money conversations. They handle them so elegantly that the clients are usually grateful for having them. The difference is that they follow a simple equation every time a client asks for more, faster, or different. And that's the question we're answering today. How do pros say that costs extra without sounding confrontational or greedy? And then once we clear that up, how do you protect your time, profit, and process while keeping the relationship strong? Let's get into it. Here's the short answer. Pros never say no. They absorb surprise requests. They position every new request as either a budget cost or a schedule cost, and then let the client decide. Because boundaries aren't about being firm. They're about giving the client control with clarity. And so the boundary equation is simple. New request equals new cost, or new request equals new schedule. And clients get to choose which one you run. This eliminates tension, it eliminates resentment and awkwardness. And then the deeper question becomes, how do you actually say this stuff in real conversations across rush jobs or scope changes or pivots? So let's break it into 5 real world scenarios here that I've seen more than once, right? So scenario 1, we'll call this the scope expansion scenario. Every freelancer knows this one. You're halfway through, the client, suddenly asks for a small change, and before you know it, your project is twice the size as it was when you initially began. Here's the pro move. Acknowledge, clarify, anchor the equation, right? So happy to add that since it wasn't in the original scope. We can either add it to the budget or extend the timeline pretty significantly. Which would you prefer? This does 3 things simultaneously. Keeps the relationship warm, keeps you out of free work, and makes the client choose priorities, right? But what about emergencies? What about like the dreaded, rush request? That brings us to scenario 2, the rush scenario. Pros love rush fees, not because they're greedy, but because they're fair. A rush request isn't more work, it's compressed work. And compressed work creates opportunity cost. So here you say, sure, I can absolutely prioritize this. Do you want me to add the rush fee to the final invoice, or do you want me to bill it separately? Right? That phrasing does 3 things. It assumes they expect a rush fee. It turns the fee into a choice, not a negotiation. It's A or B. And it frames urgency as a premium service, not a favor, not a solid to be expected. A rush isn't just added value, it's rearranged value. You're pushing other clients down in the queue. You're sacrificing evenings, weekends, creative bandwidth. You're absorbing the risk of the shortened timeline, right? In every other industry, shipping, events, consulting, speed is a valuable premium. And freelancers are the only group, it seems, that are taught to feel guilty about that. But pro freelancers know the truth. If it creates more value or more access, it costs more. Urgency is access. Therefore, urgency is value. Now, what about when a client keeps adding tiny revisions that chip away at your margin, right? Just little revisions. This isn't, oh, can we add one more thing? It's just keep refining this thing. Don't argue about the revisions here. Point back to the structure, right? Say something like, we can definitely do another round. We're just past the revision limit for this project. Would you like for me to scope out another 2 or 3 rounds of revisions, or do you want to switch to hourly while we iterate? You're not saying no. You're giving the client the steering wheel, but with guardrails. Notice the theme here. You're always staying flexible. You're always offering a choice, but you're always charging for it. Now, what about clients who change direction entirely? The dreaded we've changed our mind or we want to go a different direction 3/4 of the way through the project. This is the moment that a lot of amateur freelancers panic at, or just get real quiet and begrudgingly do twice the amount of work for the same pay. But pros get calm, because pros understand something that most freelancers seemingly don't. It's that a pivot is a new project that's just wearing the costume of the old one. So you could say something like, absolutely, I'm happy to take it in that other direction. But since this pivots from the original scoped out concept, we're going to have to treat it like a new phase or a new project entirely. What's your preference? Do you want to would you rather me try and find what components of the existing project we can use, to try and cut those costs down, those added costs down a little bit? Or do we want to go ahead and scope an entirely new project out? You're not reacting, you're rescoping, and the project stays business results first instead of emotions first. Every mid-project request only has two forms of cost: money or time, budget or schedule, increase or expand. Your job is to simply make that visible and then let clients choose. This removes friction and makes you look incredibly professional. Now, if you want more frameworks like this one in your life, subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications, like this video, leave a comment with any questions you have on the topic. And if you want to take it a step further and bring your questions, your goals, your obstacles to myself and my team, consider joining the freelancing program. It's a community of over 1,300 other freelancers who are all in growth mode, over 20 hours of video content. But the real magic happens in the weekly group coaching meetups and in the community where freelancers can crowdsource their business decisions with one another. Hope to see you in there. If not, I'll see you on the next video.